Hi, so remember last time when I was talking about, how Mob78 was saying that my Paul is care theory is not really correct? And about how, I can't really throw that theory away? Well, it appears that someone else does think Paul is care. So that's interesting. Now we have two different sides of this debate. Because I guess it's a debate. I don't know. I've been debating it myself, so... It's a debate. But yeah, we got two different sides of this theory now in my comments. And not only that, but this maniac of a commenter by the name of WordArt Guian, which I definitely mispronounced, this absolute buffoon decided to just drop a whole bunch of information before I could even respond to it. Mind you, I was still editing Petscop 17 when this heathen just spawned in my comments. Not an actual heathen though. I appreciate this. The information has been very helpful. But there was just so much of it combined with what we've learned in these recent episodes, and also combined with stuff that I found on my own time in previous episodes, that I literally had to compile all my information into a Google Doc. It's that much. Anyway, we'll talk about that during the theory crafting session, which I will need to record separately from this, because holy moly. Anyway, we got Petscop 18. I've been thinking about, and just looking at these thumbnails and what we've seen so far, what we saw in Petscop 17, and I looked at the thumbnails and I was like, okay, so Petscop 18 is probably the extra stuff. We're probably going to look at what's in there. And then it looks like these next ones are all going to be in the all recordings section. Just logically, I came to that conclusion after doing a bit of thinking about, what we've seen. I don't know yet. We're about to find out, I suppose. So yeah, speaking of which, let's find out now. Let's do the finding out. Okay, before we start, anything new in the description? No, I don't know if it said they're kind of scary before. I don't know about that. Well, anyway, let's get into it. Immediately, we're starting on this secret menu. We got Room Impulse. We explored that last time. What are we about to see this time? We better do something? Oh. Whoa, what was that? What is that? Is it like a shelf or something? What the freak? Alright, well, we're going into extra stuff. Oh, one Guardian history. Oh, so is this the process of... This is all the history of the sprites. Okay, that's pretty cool, actually. That's pretty cool to see. Some of the behind the scenes for Petscop, even though it's not really a real game. So that's pretty cool. I like that. Apparently he also had some hairs for some reason. Whoa, what was that? I saw that. It was a disc down in the bottom corner. That's interesting. And then we got Amber history. So this is interesting. We're seeing the development process of all these characters. That's pretty cool. Are we gonna see any important characters, or is it just gonna be the even care ones? We got Randis history. Apparently Randis was gonna be a square, have a square in the center of the flower. So that's interesting. Oh, Tonith history. Oh man, Tonith looked kind of weird in his early stages. Looks much better now, holy moly. Okay, so why are we seeing this, though? Pen history. This is the one that was in the thumbnail. Apparently Pen used to have legs, and then the developer was like, nah, don't need them. String, on the other hand, that's what Pen needs. Also, I never really, realized this, but Pen is holding, the crystal ball, which is also interesting because Pen is a musical character, and Pen is also deaf. So there's a lot of sound-based things surrounding Pen, so I'm wondering if Pen has something to do with the sound test menu. It would also make sense because Pen's hands are hands with a little line connecting them to the body, which is what we saw in the sound test menu. It was a hand with a little rod poking out of it. So that could be Pen's hand, but I don't know what that would mean. So that's very interesting to see that. Hudson history? Who the freak is Hudson? What the freak? This dude looks weird as heck. Was this supposed to be one of the pets in even care, or in a future? Because we know the gift plane was never finished, right? So there were going to be other homes. So this might have been a character in there? I don't know. This guy looks weird, dude. What the heck? Who the freak is Hudson? Wavy jumping. Oh, Wavy used to look a lot different. Holy moly, looked more like water than a cloud. Well, I think he's sort of got that cloudy shape. And then Wavy jumping. So Wavy was initially gonna jump? I'm not sure why. Maybe because Wavy was initially water. Because water has waves. So it would make more sense for Wavy to be a water creature. I guess they just sort of changed it to a cloud later in development. We got Wavy jumping. What's next? Gift plane map. Ooh. Okay, but I am immediately noticing that this is a different map. So this is probably like an early concept map of the gift plane. That pink building there is probably even care. I don't know what that square is. And then we got this round building, looks like a city over there, and then some little hilly areas, which are probably meant to represent like some of the other homes in the gift plane. So that's very interesting. But only one of them is colored, probably because that's the only one that got completed. 9, the house. This, it's obviously not the house, but this kind of looks like the house that we've been seeing in the other episodes. I don't know, like this might be a small version of it. Maybe this was like the version of the house that was supposed to go in the display before they, updated the display. The display where it's like the house, the school, and the windmill. Where Marvin starts running around in circles in there back in episode 8. So this could be what was meant to go in that display, but it didn't, because they updated it to be like more accurate. So that's interesting. What are we about to see next? Why are we just staring at this house? Or is that the end of the menu? We're still here. I don't know what the music's sort of dying down. What's that about, huh? Why is the music gone? What the? Did you guys see that? The house got a little closer. I don't know what that's about. What the freak? Okay, well clearly this means something, right? Because it's getting closer. Or it got closer. It got closer again. What's that about? Why is the house getting closer? What's the significance of the house getting closer? I don't know, man. It's moving very slowly. See there, it moved again. Also, I just realized this red menu is literally just the pause menu, but red. So, because it has the same patterns in the background, the same symbol patterns, which I still don't know if those mean anything, by the way. I've been wondering that since episode 1, but we haven't gotten anything related to that, so I don't know, who knows? Maybe it'll come up later, but for now we have this house that seems to be getting closer. Is it gonna get closer again? It doesn't seem... Oh, it got closer again. Is that the end? Oh, what the freak? Why would you end it there? That's so weird. Well, anyway, I guess my theory was correct. We explored the extra stuff, which means next time we're probably going to explore that all recordings. And because all the thumbnails have a similar, gen thing in the top corner, which we'll probably learn more about what that actually means in those episodes. So it would seem like that might be the default UI for the all recordings. Technically speaking, we won't know till we get there. But just logically, it would make sense for that to be the case. Anyway, I'm gonna cut to the theory crafting session now, so I'll see you all over there. Okay, so we have 3 sections for this theory crafting session. Section 1 is the stuff that I found on my own in just previous Petscop episodes. Section 2 is stuff that WordArt Gwian commented and let me know in the comments of my previous videos, which there's a lot of it. And Section 3 is the stuff from the recent episodes that I found. So starting with Section 1, I'm gonna just show you this footage from episode 2. It's brightened up, and hopefully you'll be able to see what I saw when I watched this on TV. That's right. Unless you couldn't see it. I really hope you could see it. In that little, what I thought was a window, right outside of Tool's room, there's actually stuff there in the darkness. And this is what led me to discover my next thing, which was this.
But yeah, I think my understanding is correct. It's just, I'm missing something. Okay, that's it.
That was a clip from Petscop 4, and that is the first official appearance of Marvin, meaning that if I had just brightened that up, we would have known about Marvin way sooner than Petscop 6. Or I guess Petscop 5, because that's when we learned his name. So those are interesting, right? That there's stuff hidden in the darkness that isn't loading screen stuff. That's all I could find, though. I don't know if there's anything else hidden in the darkness elsewhere in Petscop. Haven't found it yet. Another thing that I found on my own, Marvin's movements from outside of the school in Petscop 11, and when Tiara meets Marvin in the New Maker plane for the first time. Both those movements sync up. Took me a long time to find this out, but I was watching Petscop 12 and I was like, wait, these kind of seem familiar. So I'll play the clips side by side so you guys can see.
so their movements should sync up. That's the end of section 1. That's the stuff that I found on my own. Next up, and this is the big section, the stuff that Word Art Gwyn commented. The flower in Petscop 2 refers to the They Love Me Not game, meaning that -1 petals would be They Love Me, which is the lie that we were told about that may not be a lie forever, back in Petscop 9 when we read Care NLM's description. Marvin, Paul, and Tiara are spelling words using a phonetic alphabet, which is an alphabet made up of sounds, not like letters. It's more mouth sounds, like the sounds you would make to form the words. So then the button combinations are tied to those sounds in the alphabet, which are then tied to words, which are in a dictionary, which brings me to my next point. Anything not in the phonetic alphabet's dictionary, much like names, gives the result not in table, because it's not in the table of words in this dictionary, which I'm assuming then means that what Paul was trying to spell back in Petscop 15 was probably Marvin, and that's why Marvin can't spell Paul's name correctly, because the phonetic alphabet doesn't allow it. Which then confirms that that is Paul playing those school segments. The next thing is the channel description changed a few times. I mentioned this back in Petscop 9, but yeah, I read the channel's about page description, and apparently that changed a few times. This specific description, though, is very interesting. I'm going to read it out, and then we're going to talk about it. Rainer gave this gift to us on Christmas 1997 and 2000. It was the single longest day of our lives. We were all certain he was dead at the time. He had been missing since June 1997 and 2000. We're not as concerned about these things now. Please enjoy the recordings. We do, with a smiley face at the end. This obviously brings up the 2000 thing that we saw in Petscop 17 with the 2000 calendar. And I actually, believe it or not, made a mistake with one of the calendars. The calendars, well, the 1997 calendar is always correct. That doesn't change. The 2017 calendar that I pointed out, and Paul, I guess, pointed out in Petscop 14, that's correct, so that'd be the red calendar. It's that gray calendar, I think, because I think the 1997 one's green. The gray calendar was the one I got wrong. I thought it was 2017. It can't be 2017, though, because it is a leap year, which means, obviously it means that it's the 2000 year, but I checked every month of that year to make sure that it was the year 2000, and yeah. So in summary, the gray calendar is 2000, the 1997 calendar is the green one, and then the red one is 2017, or your calendar, as pointed out by the sound test menu. So I just thought I'd clear that up because I was wrong about the calendars, okay. Next up, there was a Reddit post made by a user named Pauleskowitz about Petscop, confirming that Paul and Lena are connected via their last name. I don't know how they're connected, but they have the same last name. So yeah, that's pretty interesting, I would say. The numbering system in the sound test menu is hexadecimal. It is a hexadecimal numbering system. I actually had to look this up after reading that because I'm familiar with hexadecimal, but I didn't know that. I've used hexadecimal like in ARGs before, but I didn't know like what the system behind it was. So that was cool to learn. I liked that. Okay, so I made a huge mistake regarding the family that I need to clear up here. Marvin and Rainer are not brothers. Rainer and Mike were brothers, and this misconception came from the confusing wording of Care A's description back in Petscop 11. But it does kind of make sense if Rainer and Mike were brothers, I guess, because then that would motivate Rainer to make Petscop. Because I went back and I looked at Mike's grave, and he died like the year before Rainer started working on Petscop. So, Mike obviously dies, and then Rainer starts looking into all this, and then starts forming Petscop together. It all lines up, timeline-wise. Anyway, that's the end of Section 2, so that's the big long one. Next up is Section 3, which is the section where we talk about recent stuff. So 17 and 18. For Petscop 17, I want to talk about the Room Impulse dial. You remember the dial that we had to turn to become different characters. So every so often, it'll just be the regular dial, but every so often, it will become slightly lighter as well. And I looked at all of this, and I noticed that we can only select the character, like to play as them, when the dial is that slightly lighter variant. So that was interesting to learn, just more of the mechanics of the dial itself. That's really all I wanted to talk about with the dial. Now, the important stuff. The family connections. It all starts with Marvin and Lena, I think, because I think probably what happened is they were probably good friends. It mentions in Petscop 9, I think, that they were friends. And then Marvin does his little experiment thingy with her and makes the windmill disappear or whatever. And that's where it all starts. And then Marvin goes on and marries her sister, which is Anna. I was kind of tossed up for a bit on whether the sister was Anna or Jill, but it has to be Anna because that's who Marvin marries. And then they have a child. Their name is Care, or Carrie Mark, which confirms that Marvin is Marvin Mark and Anna is Anna Mark. So we know that now. Now this is the hard part, because where does Jill fit in? I don't know. I don't know where Jill, Thomas, and Daniel fit into all this. I also don't know how Mike and Rainer fit into all this. So that's definitely something that we're going to have to figure out at some point. Next I want to talk about the moment on the road. Not much to say about this, but it explains why Care went back down the road to backtrack to the school. That moment also felt like it wasn't over yet. It felt like sort of a part 1 to me. I don't know if anyone else got that feeling. That's it for Petscop 17. Petscop 18, the player character is called Guardian, not Newmaker, which then sparks 2 theories that could also both be true at once. One is that back in Petscop 9, Rainer signs Rainer Newmaker on that note that we read. So it could be that Rainer thought he would be the Newmaker, but it could also mean that while the player character is called Guardian, Newmaker is that Guardian's purpose. That's their reason for existing in the game. And again, these could both be true at the same time. And obviously, Rainer didn't end up being the Newmaker. I think that's probably most likely Paul. And then, Faint Voice of Child. I found this in the subtitles. There was nothing interesting in Petscop 17's subtitles. To me, it sounds like it's saying Ire. I'm gonna play the clip right now so you guys can hear it. But yeah, I don't know what they're saying. Haven't a clue, so I'm gonna need some help with that. And that's it. That's my theory crafting session. I have to abruptly end this now because my phone's gonna die. So, hopefully you guys all enjoyed, and I will see you next time. Bye!